Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you are having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, today I have a story from across the pond at Buckingham Palace. A British woman of African descent got an unexpected Negro wake-up call. This story has nothing to do with African Americans, but it is something that we can relate to. A prominent black advocate for survivors of domestic abuse revealed how she was repeatedly asked by a member of the Buckingham Palace household at the Queen Consort's reception where she really came from. This woman's name is Ngozi Fulani, and she is chief executive of Sister Space. Her organization supports women of African and Caribbean descent who are in domestic abuse situations. On November 29th, Queen Consort Camilla hosted a reception at Buckingham Palace to raise awareness of violence against women and girls. Ms. Fulani was invited to that reception. What happened to her is really not all that surprising given where it was and who was involved. Nevertheless, she was outraged by what happened and she shared it on Twitter. She says, 10 minutes after she arrived, a member of the Buckingham household staff came to her and asked her, "Where are you from?" She said, "Here, UK." And the woman said, "No, what nationality are you?" She answered, "I am born here and am British." The person insisted, "No, but where do you really come from? Where in Africa do your people come from?" So she was not going to let her off the hook. Ms. Fulani replied, "My people? Lady, what is this?" The household member that interrogated Ms. Fulani is this lady. This is Lady Susan Hussey. What a name. She is a baroness, and she is a lady in waiting of the late Queen Elizabeth II. This lady is called a gatekeeper. Among other things, these gatekeepers reinforce royal protocol. There is a protocol in place when you go to Buckingham Palace. Now, I'm not sure why Miss Fulani came on this woman's radar, because there were other black people there. There were other black women there. She was not the only black woman there. But she said this conversation began 10 minutes after she got there. So there was something about her that stood out. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say something else. If you are going to go into these people's spaces, you need to respect the protocol. There is a certain kind of dress that is required when you go into those royal palaces, and there is a certain kind of behavior. Now, let's look at this picture. 3 women, 1 white, 2 black. The black woman on the right is very conservatively dressed. The black woman in the middle looks like she could be an African queen or princess or noblewoman. That's how she looks. She looks beautiful, but she looks like she's repping some type of African attire. Now, for this conservative, aristocratic, British royal advocate, looking at Ms. Ngozi Fulani, that might not be what she considered royal attire, or that might not be what she would consider appropriate for coming to Buckingham Palace, even though the woman looks very beautiful. And something this simple and this innocent could set somebody off who didn't want you there in the first place. Now let me clarify. When African diplomats or diplomats from other parts of the world are being entertained at Buckingham Palace in some type of a state dinner, it is perfectly appropriate for them to wear their national attire because they are representing their country. Having said that, I don't think there's any excuse for what this Lady Hussey did to Miss Fulani, because she does look nice. Maybe she looks a little bit too regal for the baroness. But what she did was she was out of pocket as far as I'm concerned. And then I don't understand why Miss Fulani couldn't just say, well, I'm of Nigerian descent, but I'm 100% Brit, because they love calling themselves Black Brits. This is what in America is called a wake-up call. You got your Negro wake-up call. And that is not surprising. what is surprising is that Africans come over here flexing and flossing about how proud they are of their culture and their heritage. And somebody asks you, where do your people come from? And you say you come from Hackney. But yet and still you're so proud of your culture and where you're from and your people. Why didn't you just tell them I'm from Nigeria? It sounds like a Nigerian name. So why didn't you just say I'm from Nigeria originally, but I'm here now, and I'm here at the Buckingham Palace, and bring me a drink, or something like that? But she engaged this person because she apparently, it took her a while to realize what that person was trying to say to her. No, what that person was saying to her. So she posted it on Twitter. That's where you go when you want to get the word out and when you want to embarrass somebody. The post went viral and Buckingham Palace responded appropriately. They said, "We take this incident extremely seriously and have investigated immediately to establish the full details." Okay? In this instance, unacceptable and deeply regrettable comments have been made. We have reached out to Ngozi Fulani on this matter, and we are inviting her to discuss all elements of her experience in person if she wishes. Well, she's going to want to do that. She's going to want to tell everybody that she got that wake-up call, and she wants the world to know that she didn't appreciate it. In the meantime, the individual concerned would like to express her profound apologies for the hurt caused and has stepped away from her honorary role with immediate effect. So Lady Hussey has been dismissed for embarrassing them and bringing attention to the racism that is said to exist inside Buckingham Palace. Lady Hussey probably hasn't been fired. They've probably just moved her to another part of the palace. Buckingham Palace is probably not the least bit surprised at what Lady Hussey did. They probably do stuff like this all the time. Right, Meghan Markle? The Buckingham Palace statement further states, all members of the household are being reminded of the diversity and inclusivity policies which they are required to uphold at all times. So if you have to make a policy stating that people have to treat other people with respect and use courtesy with people who come there, then you know there's a problem there. So Ms. Fulani has an eyewitness backup. Manda Reid, leader of the Women's Equality Party, tweeted, "I was right there. I witnessed this firsthand. We were at an event that was supposed to celebrate our work." Well, you were at a Buckingham Palace and they make racial distinctions, and they have never been shy about saying that. Now all of a sudden that they're in the spotlight and Meghan Markle is pointing the spotlight on them, they're trying to pretend that they don't have that kind of thing going on in Buckingham Palace. But there's kind of been all kinds of racial things going on in that palace from day one. And why wouldn't there be? And why would we be surprised? So anyway, Miss Ngozi Fulani got her wake-up call at Buckingham Palace. And I want to say this. I don't want to hear anything else about Africans talking about being proud of their culture, their country, their people, their language, so forth and so on. The only time they seem to really be proud is when they're flaunting the fact in the face of African Americans that they have a language and a culture and a country and blah, 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 blah. But you see what happens here. This woman is asking her, where in Africa did you come from? Now, I think the woman was out of order. I think she was being rude. But if you are truly proud of your country and your culture and what you say you're proud of, then why not show that? Don't tell me you're proud. Show me your pride. Just a few months ago, a video went viral of a Nigerian young man talking about African Americans, and he made the statement, "How can you tell me what state you're from when I ask you where you're from?" Okay, now this white woman asked Ms. Ngozi Fulani where she was from, and she got upset. If you ask an African American where they're from and they say, "I'm from Texas," that's where they're from. They're from Texas, or they're from Detroit, or they're from Mobile, or Atlanta, or the ATL. That's where they're from. They're not from anywhere else. But this lady Hussey asked her where she was from. And she said Hackney. Hackney is a district in East London. But the woman said, "No, I want to know where you came from in Africa," and she was offended by it. So from now on, African Americans, we can just dismiss all of this flexing and bragging about pride in their tribe, their language, their homeland, their culture, their this and their that. That's just a flex. They are not proud. You are not proud if somebody looking at you knowing that you are an African descended person and they ask you where in Africa did you come from and you get offended. You are not proud. If somebody asked an African American where in Africa are you from, most African Americans will start flashing those DNA tests and saying, well, I'm from such and such a place. I don't think we would be upset about it. But she was clearly upset. Okay, that's just all I got to say about it. This should be a lesson this is a lesson that you can't teach black people. Because if they get in a little position or get in a little place, black people, whether they're from Africa, whether they're from America, whether they're from Dominican Republic, Jamaica, black people are very quick to think that they're in the package now. And they're not like the other black people because I can play basketball, I can rap, I can sing, I'm an actress, I'm a billionaire. So we're very quick to think that we have transcended race and nobody sees that we're black. And then there is always a white person who's willing to remind you that you're black. And this is your wake-up call. And you shouldn't have to get that every time you go somewhere. You should be prepared for it. You should be prepared. So shame on any black person anywhere in the world where you're in a space of predominantly white people and you're surprised that you get that Negro wake-up call. Okay, everybody, let me know what you think about this. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.